Good morning, happy homesteaders. Star Baby Homestead here. Okay, so I harvested all of these grapes. You can see they're varying colors of red. Even the greenish ones are still sweet, but they're all starting to ripen at once now. So we've got to figure out what we're going to do. So as you know, we can either freeze these to go into whatever, like drinks. I'm going to be using them today to make jam. So I'm going to be taking the ones with the highest sugar content, the ones that I've already kind of turned, and I'm going to use about 8 cups. I'm going to puree them, throw them in a pot with some sugar and lemon. I've got about 8 half pint jars from Ball, and then I'm going to process these to go into our cabinet. So come along, here we go. All right, first things first, let's dump these in this pot. There's ants and kale and clay and whatever else I've had to spray on them to keep the bugs off. So I've got some baking soda here. I'm just gonna put a little in here, don't need a whole lot. I'm gonna let these soak, and that'll give any ants or spiders or any kind of weird gnats and bugs a time to escape if they can. And then the rest is just going to be these grapes soaking in this solution for, I'll give them about 30 minutes to an hour. I like my grapes really clean. Then we're going to rinse them and then start removing them from the stem. All right, so here is 8 cups of grapes, and I have a lemon. I'm going to use the juice of that, which is, goes in here. I want all the juice out of here. And I have a cup of sugar, and then I'm starting with 3 half pint jars, because once this boils down, I actually have no idea how much I'm going to have left. I mean, canning, yes, you can kind of get it down to a science, but you know what? Whatever you have left, just stick it in the refrigerator. But I'm starting with 3 so that I don't just take up a bunch of space with washing a bunch of these. Like I said, I'm going to be water bathing these. Now, when it comes to your sugar, some people use brown, and I'm not sure I want to do brown because I'm not sure how the molasses in the brown sugar is going to take away from the grapes. It seems like it may be maybe too sweet. But based off of whatever kind of grape you're using, these are sweet, but I also have some green ones in here that may not be as sweet, but they're so delicious and tasty. And just so that I want them to store, I'm going to be adding that additional sugar. And I may only start off with half a cup of this. I mean, it's up to you to see, what your palate is going to enjoy. It's going to boil down, and just continue to taste it. So for every 4 cups of grapes, I would use a half a lemon, which may come out to X amount of tablespoons, but we wing it around here. I grew up just knowing kind of what the measurements of stuff are, but not really watching my grandmother measure things out in her hands, or just doing it by, just by sight. So if you happen to use 4 cups of grapes, then use a half a lemon. If you use 8 cups, then, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to use this whole lemon. And maybe it comes out to what? Maybe 2 or 3 tablespoons of lemon juice. So once again, it's going to keep the color pretty, which, I mean, these grapes are not the darkest. They're pink, so I may just have barely lightly colored grapes, but this lemon will help with the color and keeping it vivid so it doesn't turn gray or some weird color. And it'll also activate the pectin. So I'm about to put these grapes in a blender, and we're going to break them down. let me just say, I just tasted the juice from that puree. Oh my God. It is so good. It is so good. This wonderful, sweet grape flavor, like wild grapes, like muscadines that you would get walking in the woods, or scuppernons. And I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I really hope I can hold on to that delicious flavor. Now, as you can see, this is really green. And I don't know what kind of color it's going to turn when it cooks down. Hopefully it won't be, let's see, let me move some of this foam aside. You know, it might be an odd color, but I guess that doesn't matter as long as it's delicious, right? So what you would do if you wanted juice, you would just puree it just like I did, and then just like take it through a strainer or a cheesecloth. I don't mind the skins in there, and the skins will actually help thicken it, and maybe it will change color. So I'm gonna go ahead and put our stove here on what? I'm gonna put it on medium just to get it warm. But right off the bat, let's see, I'm gonna add, let me see. That's pretty sweet. That's pretty sweet. So I may only do, I think I'm gonna do just a half a cup, honestly, because I don't want my teeth to rot out when I when I eat this. So I'm using a half a cup just by the sweetness of the grapes. I think that may even be too much, but once you get it on some nice toast, or you know, whatever you could be using it for, maybe you might want to eat it with pork loin, or you know, people use jams for different things. You may want to have it with cheese or with brie, something either salty or savory to help absorb some of that sweetness. But honestly, compared to store-bought, I will take my own organic grapes with just some added sugar, as opposed to whatever else they could possibly be putting in our jams and jellies that you buy at the store. So now we want to just keep an eye on this and just stir it occasionally so that it doesn't scorch or burn. I'm probably going to take it down to about medium low, somewhere between low and medium-ish, and just, yeah, just keep an eye on it. So do you know what making jam reminds me of? When I used to go home to my grandparents during the summer, they had this ginormous mulberry tree in their backyard. And when I would come home and get settled and tell everyone hi, I'd go out into the garden and go straight for that tree. And I would just spend probably a good hour or so just harvesting all of those blueberries. And after they were washed, well, you know, if you grew up like I grew up, some of that stuff, you just ate it while you were picking. You didn't care about bugs. You didn't have to worry about pesticides because, I mean, my grandparents just had a garden. They didn't use pesticides. Eating was different. The air was cleaner. The water was cleaner. It was just a different time. I'm a Gen Xer, and I mean, it was just a way of living, and I don't know, it's so hard these days to get food like that, is, you know, because just so much has changed. But anyway, I digress. So I would have this giant bowl of these mulberries, and I'm just like eating them, and I'd bring them in. I knew there was no way that, you know, everybody didn't love them as much as I did, but my grandmother would come in and we'd wash them and take all the stems off of them. And then it's just into a pot with some sugar. And I don't even remember if we used lemon, but maybe we did. But mulberries are so dark and black, you don't have to preserve the color because they're going to be beautiful either way, right? And we would cook this jam just down and just have it for homemade pancakes or toast or whatever. But anyway, I haven't made jam in such a long time because I don't know. Sometimes we lose sight of ourselves. We get wrapped up in work and life, and we just forget those things that used to make us so happy and bring us so much joy. So I hope to be able to share this with my family and the joy that I used to experience when I used to go home for summers. So I have an idea. I just harvested all of these blueberries, and I think I may use some of them to color this jam. Let's see, the skins are kind of dark. And the fruit is dark. So I don't want them to take away from the flavor of the grape. So I may not use a lot. Maybe I'll just throw a cup in there and see if that works. Well, it made it a little bit redder. It's kind of pink purpley color now. So let's just cook it down and see what happens. I think it's a little bit better than that sort of green gray color that it was looking like, which nobody wants to spread that on toast, right? A green gray color of anything, no. All right, we've got a really nice purple color here. I know it's kind of hard to see it with this yellowy looking light, but that's a nice looking shade of purple. Much better than what we had going on before. So if you said had strawberries or, you know, maybe even some dark colored grapes, you could probably run out and buy some, or just buy some if you know you're going to buy some jam, make some jam. And so it looks like it's slowly beginning to thicken. So all right, gonna leave it alone and let it finish boiling down. All right, so let me just show you guys. You see this chunky bit starting. So we just want to stir it, but not too much, because we want that, right? We want this nice thickness. Let's keep boiling. All right, now look how much this has thickened. There's still a little bit of water we can cook down, but it's gotten pretty thick. So I'm gonna try the chilled plate test to see if it's gonna set up like we want it. I want mine to be you know, pretty firm after it sets and chills. So let's go get our cold plate. Now, if you put some on a cold plate, it doesn't run all over the place. It's supposed to be Okay, that means I'm gonna give it a few more minutes. All right, everyone, I think our jam is finally ready. So most of the water has boiled out of it. Look how thick it is. I think that's gonna set up just fine once it is opened and refrigerated. So I am now preparing my sterilized jars, and we are gonna ladle this hot jam in and get them ready for processing. So now we know that 8 cups of grapes, depending on how big your grapes are going to yield about 3 half pints. So I have the lids that are in this water already, and if I can get one, we're going to be sticking these on top here and then processing these jars for 10 minutes. All right, there you have it, guys. Easy peasy, only 3 ingredients for this jam. The thing that's going to take you the longest is actually just cooking it down. And I suggest you do it in increments, you know, slow, medium, taking it up to a little medium high, back down. But it's probably going to take you at least a cook time of about 45 minutes. So you want to be patient. Don't stir it too much. Use a nonstick pan. You know, a wooden spoon so you don't scrape up your nonstick pan. And I mean, it's just a labor of love. You just kind of have to eyeball it and let all the water and moisture cook out of it. Now, you may want to use less lemon. I think this is a perfect balance of tangy and sweet. And like I said, once you get it on bread or whatever it is, something savory you may use it on, it's going to help balance out, you know, any of the sweetness or, you know, or tanginess. If you want it less tangy, then maybe not use a whole lemon, use half. So I used 8 cups of grapes, and these are the Pink Reliance grapes, and they're kind of small, and they're table grapes. They're slip skins. So if you don't want to do that, I hate you'd have to go through the whole process of trying to slip the skin off of all of these grapes, but there you have it, right? So 8 cups is going to yield you 3 half pints, and this is good for us for now. We have a lot more grapes. I'm getting ready to give some to my neighbor, and I'll probably make more, but we don't go through a ton of jelly or jams, so I may make a few more, but this will probably last us until next season. And plus I'm gonna make some to give to like family and as gifts. Now my next batch that I think I'm gonna work on is going to be the peaches that I have. I'm gonna be harvesting those soon. I should have gotten to them earlier, but hopefully the birds haven't eaten them all, but I think there's plenty to share. So I may do a video on my peach jam. But just so you know, if you looked earlier in the video, you saw that this was kind of a green, grayish kind of color. So I substitute a colored fruit in here, blueberries. I did about a half a cup, just a handful or so of blueberries just to get this color, and that's all I needed. It didn't take away from the flavor of the grapes at all. If I had used maybe more blueberries, that could have been the case. But for right now, it tastes wonderfully of grapes, and I can't wait for us to put it on our fresh sourdough bread. I hope you all are doing well. Be happy and be blessed, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.